Well, it says I'm live. I'm not seeing my stream. Is it my computer or YouTube or Verizon? Criminy. I've got a black screen. Let me see if I can share a screen. Let's just, I don't know. Just pull up something and well, that's on the screen. Oh, I know that one. Come on. Come on. Sorry about that, guys. I forgot to set up the camera. That's better. Good evening, Jason. Man, am I getting old or tired? Or both? I forgot to set up the camera. I thought it was YouTube playing games with me. It was just my brain. I just cannot do Thursday mornings anymore. The internet connection keeps going down. Usually when I'm in the middle of saying something important. Yeah, that's one thing, Jason. The older I get, the harder it is to fall asleep. But that's because I take afternoon naps. I get really tired around 2 in the afternoon, 2 to 4 it seems. Well, good morning, good evening, whatever. From beautiful downtown Crestline, and let's get this show on the road. I don't know what to talk about except that California is worse than a dumpster. It's a dumpster fire. I don't know. I don't know if. I mean, I'm not waiting for the cavalry to come in from Washington, D.C. and fix it. I think we have to fix it ourselves, or at least get a better governor than gruesome Newsome, who had people arrested for attending church while he celebrated his birthday at a fancy French restaurant with a dozen of his closest friends. No masks, no social distancing, and $1,000 a plate dinner. While we could only get takeout. And when there was a drought, his winery up in Napa got plenty of water. He just opened the spillway of one of our dams to make sure that his winery had water for the grapevines. And when the fires hit, about a year later, I think, in Napa, his grapevines didn't burn, but some of the other wine growers lost their entire crop to fire, and then their land was for sale for cheap because they couldn't pay the mortgage without grapes to make wine to sell. Seems rather suspicious. First they go through a drought, then they go through a fire. But Gavin Newsom's property is doing just fine. Uh-huh. Meanwhile, they're taking down dams supposedly to help the salmon, but it's actually having the opposite effect and depriving our farmers of water for crops that feed us. They say, well, drought is normal in California. Well, not everywhere in California. During the Dust Bowl, when people left Oklahoma and other states because of the Dust Bowl, they came to California because the farms in California had plenty of water and plenty of crops to pick. And many of the Okies, as they were called, the people from Oklahoma, ended up settling down and becoming farmers in Kern County and Fresno County, the big valley of California. I keep forgetting the name of it. We have several valleys. San something. I don't want to name it because I can't be sure. But there was an old TV show, a Western called The Big Valley. It was quite popular, ran for a long time. Anyway, now the farmers are starved for water. Fresno County is mostly almond growers. Kern County is mostly growing grapes to make raisins. You sometimes when you're driving by on the 5 freeway, Interstate 5, you'll see the grapes sitting out on racks to dry in the sun. And on the other side of the highway, you'll see cotton. Some people actually stop when they're southbound on the 5 because some of the cotton plants are kind of sticking through the fence and you can grab a real twig with the cotton on the end of it. I'm not sure that's legal. I've never done it. Oh well. Anyway, now our legislature is laying the groundwork for a mileage tax on cars between 6 cents and 9 cents per mile. The theory is that electric cars don't use gas, so they are not paying the gas tax because they're electric. But this tax would apply to all cars, even the ones that use gasoline, and therefore are paying the gas tax. Meanwhile, one more refinery has shut down, and another one will shut down soon. So California will be starved for the special blends of gasoline that our state government requires to reduce air pollution, they say. You see, California has a waiver from, I think it's the EPA. We're allowed to have stricter standards than all the other states. So we can't use their gas because it isn't the special blend that saves the environment. While China builds a new coal-fired power plant almost every day. But we have to depend on wind and solar. And what's left of the old nuclear power plants. I thought they had decommissioned the one in San Onofre because it wasn't exactly safe. But they didn't decommission all of the reactors there. It also happens to be on an earthquake fault. I feel like I'm alone. I told Freeman and Witta that I was coming on live, but Witta's probably already in bed. But Freeman should be coming in. Oh well. Maybe he fell asleep too. It's 9:39 p.m. now. What else is going on? Oh, Minneapolis. Well, I'm glad you're listening, Jason. I feel like I'm talking to myself and they're going to check and see if I'm crazy. Minneapolis. 3 protesters shot, 2 of them lost their lives. And I'm really sad that they died, but they were really not behaving well. It's just awful that when Obama was deporting illegal aliens, nobody fussed about it. We didn't have demonstrations like, like what they do now. We had protests, but they were not interfering with the immigration agents and officers. They just stood on the sidewalk waving signs. Trump still has not caught up with Obama for the number of people deported. And nobody, well, there was some fuss about the cages that Obama had built for the overflow because there were too many people in custody for the facilities that they had. But it did not rise to the level of what we see today. I think some people have lost their minds. You have a First Amendment right, but that covers speech, not getting in the way. When you obstruct any law enforcement, you're really just asking to get arrested. That isn't peaceful, and it isn't free speech when you're actually getting in their faces and trying to physically stop them. And frankly, when they're out in the field, it's often impossible to arrest people because they have their detainee in the car. They can't take a chance on shoving someone else in there with the guy they have a warrant for. I don't know. I'm not happy with the situation. I do want to see violent criminals taken off our streets. Cats are making funny noises. I guess they're just arranging their kitty cat bed that they've torn to shreds. They've pulled out all the stuffing. Cats. We really all need to calm down. You know, kindness is important. I don't know how many people have experienced this, but someone out in public, usually a stranger, will be extremely rude. And sometimes if you just say, "Boy, you're having a bad day, aren't you?" They'll calm down. They might tell you their story, they might not. But usually they'll say, "Yes, I am." And that they'll calm down. So instead of confronting them, have a little sympathy. Oh, Jason is making a grocery list and he has coupons, only $20 for a week of food. And apparently you don't have good transportation, so your choice of stores is limited. Oh, I had to buy groceries today, and the food stamps are all gone until about a week from now. So I had to be very careful. I spent about $20 plus $9 for the cats. It's hard to feed 5 cats. Food stamps don't cover cat food. They don't cover a lot of things, so I have to budget carefully. But I already have a pantry with things I can get by on: rice, beans, noodles, some veggies. I have carrots and celery and onions. Oh, and potatoes. And I have the ability to cook, sort of. I'm not the world's best cook, but I'm improving. Oh well, I've gotten help from various friends and fans, I guess I should call them, of my books and of Philip K. Dick's books. I've written several books about Phil, and I've written a novel that I consider my masterpiece. the darkening of the light. You go on a journey through Dante's Divine Comedy and Mozart's Magic Flute on your way to accepting your life as it is and not always reaching out for something more and something better. Although working for something better is a good thing, escaping to something better is usually a big mistake. Leaving behind friends, family, etc., and your job is often the road to disaster. So you're mad at your husband, wife, or child. It just isn't right to run away from them. Just isn't right. Oh, gosh. I am tired. It's 10 minutes till 10. Anyway, thought I'd try Thursday nights because Thursday mornings just don't work with the internet connection going down every few minutes. This is better. But I've got plenty to talk about, but I don't want to. It's bad news all around. On the other hand, something's happening over in Iran, which is really Persia. The people who managed to get to the United States after the Shah was overthrown call themselves Persian, not Iranian. Persia has a long history. They were always fighting with India. India wanted to rule Persia, and Persia wanted to rule India. And then there was the nation north of Iran, India's south of Iran, or Persia, rather. And it was Media, the Medes, and the Persians, the royalty were always in conflict. So they came up with a solution. The Persians would rule Persia, but the Medes would choose the Persian emperor. Oh, Freeman, you're in. Welcome in. I'm running out of things to talk about. What did you miss? California is a dumpster fire, and gruesome Newscomb is a bleepity bleep. I don't want to use bad words. And California's legislature is laying the groundwork for a tax on how many miles you drive in your car. Like the gas tax wasn't enough, they need more money. I forgot, we are in a fiscal emergency. The budget that was recently passed for California included a retroactive tax on corporations that the court struck down because it was unconstitutional. You can't tax people for what they did years ago. Well, I just moved on to Iran and the conflict there, the revolution. Um, it's really awful what they've done to what their rulers have done to them. Before the Shah was overthrown, most of the population of Persia, which they now call Iran, was either Jewish or Christian. Not no more. Being anything but Muslim is the death penalty. Well, they're digging into the corruption in Minnesota, the fraud, but California is next. We've already had little minor riots in Los Angeles and San Francisco. I'm glad I'm in a remote community, but even here, some people are trying to organize a protest against ICE. And I don't want to get in the middle of that. I've seen what happens in those protests in other places. Uh, it could get really gnarly. Well, it used to, at one time, Persia was a Jewish nation. During the diaspora, when um, first Babylon conquered Jerusalem, and when they were allowed to go back to the Holy Land because the Persian emperor conquered Babylon, and the prophecy said he would do that, and he did. Oh, yeah, they're Zoroastrians, of course. But after Persia conquered Babylon, Persia itself enjoyed a huge migration of Jews into Persia. You got to look up the history, the ancient history. Yes, it's true. In fact, when the Mongol hordes were coming in and threatening Persia, the Muslim Arabs said, hey, just give us safe passage through Persia and we'll take care of those Mongols. So they did, and they took care of the Mongols, and they looked around. The Muslims looked around and said, we like this land. We're going to live here. So it became a mixture of Jews and Muslims who somehow got along for centuries. And that was something like 1,000 years ago. The land of Canaan was what we call Israel, Freeman, not Saudi Arabia. And the Jews kicked the Canaanites out. Canaan, by the way, being a descendant of Abraham, but not one of the promised people of the promise. Yeah. Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan were basically neighbors of Israel who didn't really get along with them, but they were not part of the promised land, so they didn't have wars until quite recently in the course of history. Well, Iraq is really Babylon. Yep. Well, Iraq was conquered by the Persian emperor in the time of Daniel. And Daniel showed the emperor a scroll of Isaiah that said that the Persian emperor would restore the Jews to Israel so they could rebuild their temple, which Babylon had destroyed. And he did. And that's how Jews and Persians became friends. And many of the Jews who were allowed to leave Babylon decided, well, you know, Jerusalem is in the middle of a desert and Persia is so beautiful. We'll just either stay right here in Babylon or we'll go live in Persia. Oh, hi, Parmenides. Welcome in. Tora, quit bugging me. It's night-night time, not pester me time. The cat is tapping my leg repeatedly because she wants treats. Knock it off. That hurts. The first 2 or 3 taps don't hurt. The next 6 taps do hurt. What have I got here? Gravylicious Crunch. Chicken and gravy flavors. Okay. If I don't give her treats, she'll pester me forever. She's in the dark, so I'm not inclined to try to put her on the camera. I don't want to turn on more light. It hurts my eyes. I don't know why so many people want to light up their house like a Christmas tree. I don't like bright lights. Oops. Jordan is sort of a friend. Freeman's. Oh, Parmenides says Daniel has a beautiful description of the afterlife. Yes, he does. The book of Daniel is really something. It's amazing. Well, Israel is a problem, but has it been freezing where I live? Incredibly freezing. I hung a blanket over the front door because it's all glass, not modern glass. It's old-fashioned, glass squares with strips of wood to hold them in. So I hung a blanket over the door and it's a lot warmer. But I wasn't going outside when the high is 40, maybe 45. I can stay in. I don't need to go anywhere. I do have a good coat. Nice, warm, it's like nylon stuffed with, it isn't cotton anymore. It's some kind of, modern plastic fluff that looks like cotton balls. It's very warm. But, there's my head and my feet and my hands. The worst is my hands, because if I wear mittens, even if they're like gloves with fingers, I just can't do things that require a good grip and the sensing things with your fingertips. It doesn't work. Oh well. Anyway, I'm fine. I'm safe. My sister-in-law called me because she was worried that if the power went out, I'd freeze, and I had to explain to her. I saw that you sent me an email, Freeman. I haven't had time to look at it. Anyway, my heater is gas, and since it is not forced air, it isn't what they call HVAC. It's just a wall heater running on gas. It doesn't matter if the electricity goes out. Yeah, I'm glad she thought of me. I was very grateful, but I'm fine. And if the pipes freeze, I have bottled water. I have one batch for flushing the toilet and another batch that I can drink. But it hasn't been that cold yet. Maybe along end of February, beginning of March. That's when it gets into the 20s. So anyway, I'm doing fine. And the cats are fine. They're all inside and well fed. I think I can put Sweetie on camera. Okay, there she is. You can see a spot of white and you can see her whiskers. Sweetie, you're a good girl. That's the best kitty cat. Yes, indeed. She says, don't look at me. I'm trying to sleep. Now, I thought Sweetie was on her last legs. She looked really bad. But today, I looked out the front door because I had it open for a short time. She climbed up the cedar tree and jumped onto the roof. I don't think she's dying yet. I hope not. She is 17 years old. Oh, Parmenides says, multitudes who sleep in the dust will rise. I don't apologize for quoting Daniel. It's a great book. When they were ordered not to pray, he sat by his window, and I'm sure in those days it was just an opening, no curtains or glass or anything. He sat right by his window and prayed, and I think that's why he was thrown into the lion's den, and the lion didn't eat him. Now that was a miracle, but I'm thinking, well, God inspired someone to feed the lion so it wouldn't be hungry. That's still a miracle. Oh, it's 8:07 in the morning for you, having your morning coffee. Let's see, 8:07, 10 hours from now. France? France or Germany? Well, you don't have to tell me where you are. England's 8 hours from here, so you got to be somewhat east of England, or else you're in Australia. I don't know how to, I never remember how to compute the time in Australia. Yes, Daniel stayed true. Yeah, Sweetie's a good kitty, but oh, and a couple of times just because I had treats, I actually touched her. Not on purpose exactly, but she didn't freak out and she didn't try to claw me or run away or anything. She just put her head down and ate the treats. In 17 years, I've never been able to pet that cat. I don't force it on her because she doesn't like it. But it's like, hey, haven't you figured out by now that I don't murder cats? I think Taurus in the light. There she is. Say hi to your adoring fans. Hopped up into the dark, didn't you? She thinks the camera means treats. Are you a good kitty, Tora? Don't give. Okay, let's get the other flavor of treats. Yes, you both deserve it because you said hi to your adoring fans. Oh, it's irresistible. They're soft treats. There's some for Sweetie and some for Tora. You want some? Do you? She doesn't want them where I started to put them. She popped down to where she wants her treats delivered. Oh, Parmenides had a golden retriever. Nobody understands cats. They're mysterious. I had a black lab who was 1/4 German Shepherd. You know, I got her for my son, but when he was out on his own, he didn't want Molly. He wanted I don't know, some other kind of dog. So Molly became my dog, but every time my son visited, it was obvious that she was his dog. And then on my own empty nest, I had a Rottweiler who was 1/4 black lab. Found it was the best. Lived to be let's see. He died in 2014, so he was 16 years old. Yeah, a friend sent me a little, one of those funny things. On the first day, God created cats, and it goes through all the things cats do. And on the seventh day, God tried to rest, but the cat woke him up at 5 a.m. I really wanted a dog, but I had 2 cats, so I could have added a dog to the family until more cats started moving in. Was what, Jesse? Freeman? I don't know anyone named Jesse. My dog was Bandit. I never had a cat or a dog. No, the dog was Bandit. My son's black lab was Molly, and my Rottweiler was Bandit. I never had a pet named Jesse. Jesse was my oldest brother's father, by the way. Rick and I had the same mother, but different fathers. Anyway, Jesse. Oh, crap. I've forgotten his last name. Well, he was a lapsed Mormon. Kind of left the faith. And, oh, my oldest brother, Rick, went to live with his father for a while. Met his half brother and sister and Jesse's stepdaughter, who was no relation, but she was family. And when Rick came back home, he brought his stepsister and his half brother with him. So we got to know Vaughn. Oh, last name was Bybee. Anyway. Oh, crap. It's too late at night. Now, well, they actually lived in Arizona because Jesse left the Mormon church. Oh, and you can't call them Mormons anymore. They're Latter-day Saints. They go back and forth on that all the time. Mormon is their book, the Book of Mormon. So anyway, because of all this stuff, and my, I think, great-grandfather, whom I never met, escaped from Utah and went to Idaho. But he was still a Mormon. It's just that he was there's two tracks. There's the Brigham Young Mormons, and he was the other one. Shoot. I should remember the name of the founder of the church. Okay, let's see. Come on. My stinking mouse goes to sleep. I hate that. Here's Google. Founded Mormon Church. Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith, close, Freeman. Yeah, 19th century, 1800s. Joseph Smith lived in New York State, poor family, and he found these stone tablets or gold tablets or whatever in a cave, and an angel appeared to him and helped him translate them into English. I don't know the exact year. I don't need to know, Freeman, but it could have been in 1846. Anyway, I think it would have been my grandfather's grandfather who left England with Brigham Young because John Smith had been killed. Joseph Smith. You're confusing me, guys. And they say, many people claim that Brigham Young had Joseph Smith killed so he could take over the church. Anyway, so my ancestors came over with Brigham Young, and their family in England disowned them. And for 3 years, my ancestor was not allowed to spend time with his wife. whom he married in England before they came here, because they had to pay for being brought here to go to Salt Lake. And so she had to work as a servant in a rich man's house, and he had to become a stonemason building the tabernacle. So they taught him how to work with stones. And their son, when they were finally allowed to be together and have children, their son left the church. He refused to be baptized in the Jordan River in Utah. They named it after the one in Israel. When he was, probably about 12 years old, the bishop was going to dunk him in the what they called the Jordan River, which was kind of mostly mud, and he refused. Well, Mormons are not as strange as Jehovah's Witnesses. But when they come around my house, I just tell them I'm already in the book of life. They have this book of life, which is the genealogy of everyone who's ever been a Mormon. And I'm already in it because of my ancestry. They keep track of. In fact, when my brother was researching our family tree, the Mormon church was quite helpful. They had all kinds of records of our ancestors. And see what they do, if you don't join and get baptized as a Mormon, they have someone get baptized in your name so that you can be in the book of life. But the thing about Jehovah's Witnesses is they treat their members so badly. My father's aunt, Florence, okay, it's aunt, but in California we say aunt. She was a Christian Scientist until she had a broken hip, and they kept telling her she had to have more faith. That's why it wasn't healing. And she finally said to hell with that and called for an ambulance to take her to the hospital. I don't know what happened to your post, Freeman. I don't think anything got nuked. Oh, in New York you say aunt too. Okay. I thought you were in Seattle, you poor thing. Oh well. Oh, Parmenides was in Utah once by the Virgin River, if he recalls correctly. Well, I'm a Baptist because that's who baptized me. The Southern Baptist Church. There I was, about, 20 years old, and I only got baptized because my husband was worried about my soul, and his Episcopal church wanted me to take 6 weeks of lessons before I could get baptized. So I called up a local Baptist church. And I walked in on Sunday. They were all black. And I thought, oh my God, I'm in the wrong place. But no, it was the right place. It really was. But I could not get Phil to step foot in that church. Shame on him. I visited his church. He wouldn't visit mine. So anyway. It was awesome. And the thing about Baptists is we really sing those songs, the hymns. If you aren't loud enough, if you're scared that you're not good enough, they just encourage you. Louder, come on, louder. Put some soul and heart into it. Okay, well, the Jehovah's Witnesses, Parmenides, they have their own translation of the Bible, and it is a mistranslation. They changed things to suit their doctrine instead of simply translating what the scriptures say. Now, other translations have mistakes, but they're just mistakes. Even the King James has errors in translation, but it was not to push an agenda. It was a mistake. Oh, poor Freeman is in Seattle for now. He defected from New York. I've heard there's some really bad things going on in Seattle. Rowdy crowds on the streets. Oh, what seems odd about Phil being an Episcopalian? Phil was friends with Bishop Pike, the controversial Episcopal bishop. He was actually the Bishop of California, but he had to step down because he became a heretic. And they didn't want to outright kick him out because he was such a celebrity. So he agreed to step down, to resign. And then he went to Israel looking for proof that Jesus did not die on the cross. And Bishop Pike died in the desert. And that whole story is really suspicious. He was walking through the desert and didn't even have any water. They drove, he and his wife, Diane Kennedy, were driving on the highway and the car broke down, so they walked through the desert and they didn't even have any water. Who drives through the desert without a little water just in case? Oh, what's odd is that Phil would be religious and dream of a godless world? No. Palmer Eldritch was the devil or a devil. And Leo Valero would be a servant of God. Both imperfect, but Leo Valero was fighting for the good God, and Palmer Eldritch for the bad God, the devil. No, the Volkswagen didn't have any radiator water. It was air cooled for amenities. And I don't know about you, but when I had a car with a radiator, it was filled with uh, fluid, that you buy in a big jug. You can't drink that stuff, it's poisonous. According to Phil, they had one bottle of Coca Cola, which really would not help if you were dying of thirst. Diane Kennedy survived, just barely, apparently. Uh, and they left the car on the highway and started walking through the desert, and they were going the wrong way. It'd have been safer to just wait until someone came along and saw that they were broken down. This was long before cell phones. And I guess Israel didn't have any call boxes on their highways. But they were headed toward, I forget which country, but one of the Arab countries. Bad move all the way around. And Phil suspected that it was actually a murder. But Bishop Pike left us a book called The Other Side, about his attempts to contact the spirit of his dead son, who had committed suicide while on acid. LSD. They called it acid then. It is lysergic acid, I believe. Well, Phil was a good friend of Bishop Pike. He even attended a couple seances where Pike was trying to contact the spirit of his dead son, and he hired these mediums to make contact. And Phil was really upset when Pike died, when he heard the news that Bishop Pike was dead. At the time, I didn't know who Bishop Pike was, but now I know. There was another book that Pike wrote, but I can't remember the title. It just wasn't as glitzy as The Other Side. The foreword to the book, written by Pike, thanks Phil and his wife Nancy for attending the seances. Yeah, his adult son was on LSD and shot himself with a shotgun, which seems unlikely. To be hard to do that. You'd have to use one of your toes to fire a shotgun. Or maybe it was a rifle, but the same thing applies. It was not a handgun. Oh well. You can read about it in Bishop Pike's book, The Other Side. I don't know. I do not know. Sometimes, speaking of such things like psychedelics, sometimes during the day, I have to kind of go through things in my mind Is this something that happened, or was it what I dreamed last night? Because my dreams are getting so pedestrian. It's like, did I actually clean the bathroom sink, or did I just dream about doing it? Or did I write this letter or make that phone call? Or did I just dream about it? Oh, Parmenides, the transmigration of Timothy Archer, which is kind of loosely based on Bishop Pike. I couldn't believe the quality of the prose in that book. It really is a masterpiece. Oh, Phil was able to take his time writing it and not just slap something out in a mad dash to make money to pay the bills. But even so, it shows a level of maturity I didn't think he possessed. So you have to finish Paul Bowles' Up Above the World. I'm not familiar with that. I'm still working my pedestrian way through the transmigration. I don't want to just scan it quickly because I want to savor every moment. It's so well written. But it is not part of the Valis trilogy. They left out Radio Free Album with when they decided, oh, he has to have a trilogy. Oh, so Paul Bowles, very interesting writer who lived in Morocco. Oh, wow, North Africa. Wow. Well, I've been on for over an hour, and knock on wood, Verizon hasn't kicked me off. When I try to go on live in the morning, it keeps going, the connection keeps going down and cutting me off. Oh, Freeman, 1972 was not the greatest year. Richard Nixon was president. At least he was pulling us out of Vietnam. Unfortunately, he didn't finish it. And then when Jimmy Carter came in, I can't blame Carter himself. It was the people he appointed to take care of the withdrawal from Vietnam. It was a disaster. They decided that military dogs were equipment and they could leave them behind in a country where they eat dogs. And they left people behind. Mad dash to get out with the last helicopter on top of the American embassy. Oh, you want to help us and Christopher? Chris was born in 73. While I was pregnant, Phil owned the TV. He owned we didn't have a remote. You'd turn the knob to change channels. Um, we were just watching Watergate hearings 24/7, it seemed like, except even then, most stations went off the air around midnight and just showed a test pattern. Anyway, I think John Dean was testifying when I went into labor. I went into labor at 10 minutes till 3. And that boy was born at about 5:30. I think it was 5:20. Anyway, about 2.5 hours. And being the first baby, they were sure I'd be in labor for 6 or 8 hours. And I kept telling them, no, I'm not. This is, I'm not going through this for 6 to 8 hours. And I didn't. I kept asking them to call my doctor, and they wouldn't. And if his office had not been across the street from the hospital, he would not have been there to deliver my son. Basically, he walked into the room, put on his gloves, and caught the baby because he was born. When they finally called him, it was, he was halfway out. And they wanted me to stop pushing, and I said, no. If the doctor isn't here, you deliver him. You're a nurse. You don't wait when you have a baby coming out and has to, breathe. You can't breathe in the birth canal. No way was I going to risk brain damage just because they were too stupid to call the doctor. Oh, Secretariat won the Triple Crown, and then some offspring of Secretariat. I can't remember the name, but the horse won the Derby and was disqualified because they'd given him painkillers because he had sore legs. Great horse, too, but, if your horse has sore legs, you just don't run him. You don't give him painkillers. Never sell shell? What's that about, Freeman? What kind of shell? Oh, Shell stock? Well, right now Shell is closing a lot of stations because in California because of their stupid. They're supposed to replace the tanks under the gas station that hold the gasoline, and it costs millions for each Shell station and other gas stations. A lot of gas stations are just leaving California. Let's see, Parmenides says John Lennon had just been killed. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Phil sometimes felt that way. Whatever you love the most will be taken away from you. Parmenides, probably due to an error in high places rather than by design. Oh, that's from Transmigration. I don't remember that, but yeah. Well, the most important thing to me was Phil, and he was taken. Well, I still have my son, knock on wood. He's he has a heart condition from either COVID or the vaccine. We don't know which, but he doesn't think he's going to live too much longer. And he has a job that he loves. He's in charge of a fleet of cars and trucks and vans. And he's always loved working on cars and with cars and motorcycles. He can't ride the motorcycle anymore because if his heart acts up while he's riding, he could die in a crash. Ah, yes, Parmenides, we don't know the higher purpose, but we need to have faith that there is a higher purpose. Oh, hi, Jimmy. Beacon is Jimmy. I'm kind of winding down. It's been over an hour. Let's see, you're in England, so it's morning for you, around 9:15, I think. It's late at night for me. Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the wrong thing. 10 and 8, it's 6:44 in the morning for you. Pardon me. I was looking at the counter instead of the actual time. Whoops. Oh, I'm old and it's late. I'm 71 years old. When I was younger, I didn't think I'd live this long. And now I think, gee, I could live forever. But do I want to? Well, thanks to people helping me out, I'm getting by. I did finally buy a lottery ticket. It's only $1. The drawing will be on Saturday night. So maybe I'll win at least the $1 that I spent on the ticket. Oh, geez. Well, the computer monitor has the time on the screen, way down at the bottom where I hardly ever look. Yeah, gotta be there for the cats. Some of them are young, like 2 years old. The two feral cats who are getting more and more tame just because I feed them. Although one is still awfully skittish. They're about 2 years old. The $3 ticket has much lower odds of winning anything. Oh, I could probably set a time zone on the computer. It's just too much trouble. England is about 8 hours from California. That's all I need to know. Anyway, I am winding down. It's 10:47 at night. Yeah, London, GMT, something meridian time. I keep forgetting what the G stands for. Anyway, the 0 in computing time is in London just because it is. I suppose it's because it was the British who developed clocks in order to special clocks that they could use on a ship at sea so they could calculate their location from north to south by looking at the clock. Greenwich, that's it. Thank you, Freeman. Greenwich Mean Time. is on the Greenwich Meridian, the Prime Meridian. Isn't there a novel by that title? Well, anyway, it was the English who, I forget the inventor's name, but he developed a clock that would keep time on a ship at sea, which isn't easy to do because, all the waves and stuff. The ship isn't holding still and it isn't always level. Oh, thank you, Freeman, for being here. Thank all of you, Jason, Parmenides, and Jimmy. It's good to see you all. I love the people who come in to chat with me. I think I've had one troll in whatever number of years I've been doing live YouTubes. Come on, mouse. Mouse keeps going to sleep. I have to shake it up to get it moving again. Anyway, you guys are the best. So let's see. It's thank you all and have a good night with pleasant dreams. There we go. I'll catch you next time that I'm able to stay up past 8 or 9 at night. It's almost 11. Okay, guys. Great chatting with you. Hope to see you again. But no Thursday mornings. I just can't handle the internet going down every time I say something important. See ya.